What's happening, everyone? Hope you're having a fantastic day. Wanted to hop on here and talk a little bit about the differences between an appraisal and a home inspection. Been getting a lot of clients that have asked me, first-time home buyers especially, like, hey, do I need a home inspection? Will the appraisal be sufficient? Or what's the difference between the two? Which one looks at what? Figured I'd just record a video and go over the specifics of each and what does each look for and how it benefits you as the buyer. Let's first talk about appraisals. So an appraisal is very simply the lender will request a third-party appraiser to go out that's typically licensed in the state and holds a license in the state to actually appraise a property for all loan types. Some will be just specifically conventional, some will be all loan types, VA, FHA, USDA, and I won't get into the specifics. VA, you have to order through the VA portal. It's a round robin that way, or through a appraisal portal or an AMC, but we won't get into the specifics of that. But ideally, this appraiser is going to go out to the property and determine, based on their report and based on their discovery, is this house worth what the purchase contract is been put together for. So if let's say, for example, the contract is for $200,000, they're going to determine, based on their report, based on their discovery, grabbing what they will typically sales that have happened the last 6 months to a year, as close to proximity to the property as possible, and they're going to assess a value. Now, they're looking primarily for value. The investor, the lender, is ordering the appraisal to obviously support their investment. They want to make sure that that property is worth what the contract has been put together for. They're going to look at things like square footage. They're going to look at how many beds and baths. Is it on a foundation? They will look into some things like the condition of the roof, and they'll be looking for cracked windows and different things, making sure that the house is sound, safe, and secure. But that is to the extent of it. A home inspection and a home inspector, they are a trained professional that will actually go in and they're going to look at all the nuances. They're going to look for moisture in the foundation in the basement. They're going to look for potential infestation of pests. They're going to look at structurally what's going on. Now, some of these things the appraiser will obviously look at, but it's very general, and they're looking for anything that would jump out at them, where an inspector is going to go in and they're actually what I would consider kind of like a toothbrush, and they're going to get into all the cracks and crevices of the home and give you a report as the consumer to basically say, is this a valuable investment that you're getting ready to make? Ideally, guys, an inspection is to protect you as the consumer so that you know what you are investing in, so that you get that report and know, is there a problem with the foundation? Is there a problem with the structure of the property? Does the roof need to be replaced in the next handful of years? And again, so the appraiser is going to touch on some of these things, but the home inspection is going to get into the minute details, specifically from top to bottom on that property. I personally highly recommend that you get a home inspection in any time you're purchasing a property. I understand that we've come through a time where people were waiving inspections and doing all this sort of thing, but can you imagine buying a used car and not having somebody come out? We're talking about a $20,000 investment for a vehicle, and not having somebody come out and take a look at that, make sure, I personally would not. I'm going to take that car and have it inspected by a mechanic and make sure that I'm going to do what they call a pre-purchase inspection that's unbiased to whoever is selling it to me. That's a large purchase, and I can't imagine doing that on a home. So the appraisal is protecting the investor, the lender, and the home inspection, which is not required by the lending company, by the way. We don't require that report. That is at the buyer's expense, and it is at the buyer's discretion whether or not they want to have that home inspection. But again, it is something that I highly recommend. The appraisal is not optional. Appraisal has to be done on a property. Under rare situations, if you're putting quite a bit of money down and you have high credit scores, you can sometimes get an appraisal waiver, and I won't get into that in this video. But most of the time, 95% or greater time, an appraisal will be required by the lender to be done on a property. And again, just to making sure that the house values and that the house is sound, safe, and secure and meets all the minimum requirements based on loan type, so that to determine whether or not it's a good investment and can the loan be approved? Because again, if you've watched my previous videos, we know that we get a loan based on the 4 C's, and one of those C's is collateral, and that collateral is then backed by an appraisal to determine the value and make sure that it's safe and sound. So the inspector, again, is going to get into the more structural aspect of it, going to get into the nuances of it, going to look at the electrical work, going to look at the HVAC system, is going to look at piping and water lines, and look at everything to make sure that there's no issues that need to be brought to your attention, so that you can then do what's called a remedy at that point. And all of this is based out on your contract, and you can get with your real estate agent in regards to that. But then if there's a remedy period where you can ask the seller to address some of the issues that may be a concern as part of your negotiating process in the home. So I hope that's been helpful to you. Again, just wanted to come in and talk about the clear differences of what an appraisal and what a home inspection does. And again, a home inspection is completely on the buyer and it's optional for the buyer. I personally recommend that it should be done. If you are buying a home, you should invest in a home inspection, and that inspection is anywhere between $350, $400, somewhere in that price range. Don't hold me to that, but somewhere in there. Again, it's on your dime, and it is something that you most certainly can't opt out of. I just highly recommend that you get an inspection. Again, and when you think about it in layman's terms of would you purchase anything that's used, purchase anything that you don't know much about, unless you have somebody in your family, obviously, that has an eyesight for that, that would maybe be a circumstance where I would maybe say, maybe you don't need to. But if that family member is not a contractor, is not a licensed professional from a perspective of an inspector and understands the nuances of a home, I would highly recommend you get a trained professional to come out, look at your property, pay the fee, and that way you know and have a peace of mind knowing. Yeah, it's not going to give you 100% certainty, guys. I've seen home inspections get done and problems with the property come a few months afterwards. They're not going to be able to prevent everything from happening, but you want to put yourself in a position where you have the highest probability of success and knowing that you're purchasing a home that's sound, safe, and secure, along with that appraisal with that home inspection. Hope that's been helpful. Until next time, bye for now.